Some of you have been here a while now and might know that I'm a pretty lazy man. But how on earth can you have a healthy diet that's also easy and convenient? Well, if you live in the US, it is your lucky day because I've got the perfect solution for you. Factor offers you the chance to get fresh, ready-made meals delivered directly to your doorstep. They're never frozen, they're full of high quality ingredients and packed with nutritional value too. It even offers meals for those following different lifestyles and diets. So what are you waiting for? Go and click that lovely link at the top of the description now. You'll get plenty of money off your first order with Factor and some off the few after too. You'd be a fool to miss out on an opportunity like that. Hello and welcome to the slightly different annual event here on the Honest Football Podcast with me, Daniel. At this point every year, in the middle of the playoff chaos from the EFL and National League, we take a little stop off for our favourite day of the year. A brilliant day out if you're an English football fan or you want a day out at Wembley. We are of course talking about Non-League Finals Day, which is back for 2023. If you haven't heard of it before, let me quickly run you through what it is. Both the FA Vase and the FA Trophy, two FA-affiliated non-league cup competitions, both reach their climax at Wembley Stadium on the same day. At 12:15, you have the final of the FA Vase, a tournament for clubs between Step 5 and Step 7 of the non-league pyramid. That's the 9th tier to the 11th tier. And then after it, at 4:15 p.m, you have the FA Trophy final, which is for clubs between Step 1 and Step 4 of the non-league pyramid. And that is from the National League down to the 4th tier of non-league football. So a big day, two cup finals at the same day with the same admission fee at Wembley. For £25 you can go and watch two cup finals. And as always, our podcast will be represented there. You'll be able to see clips from the finals just as you did last year. There's links up in the eye above if you want to see them. So today we're going to have a quick preview of both fixtures. Of course, I don't have intense knowledge of the FA Vase finalists, but we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to chuck a prediction in. And of course, we're going to see how right we are at Wembley on Sunday. So let's start with the FA Vase final. It is Ascot United versus Newport Pagnell Town. Now, this story is a pretty interesting one. If you looked at those links in the eye above, you'll see a familiar name because Newport Pagnell Town won the FA Vase final in 2022. It was their first ever victory in the competition at Wembley, scored a couple of cracking goals and they were brilliant on the day. And they made it back a year later. So a really great achievement for them, the chance to retain the competition and two successive annual Wembley visits. That is no mean feat for any side. They finished third in their Step 5 division, but they come up against Ascot United, who won their division with 102 points. That total gave them an 18-point lead at the top of the Combined Counties Premier North Division, and they've got a chance to make it one hell of a double if they can win a trophy at Wembley on Sunday. A familiar name on the books, but not involved in the starting lineup normally. Jamie Ashdown, who had been involved in the coaching staff there, formerly of Pompey fame, played in the Europa League back in the day. He was registered as an emergency early in the summer, but Forster, the current goalkeeper, is the hero, as both sides did it in a remarkable fashion. They got to the final with back-to-back penalty victories. Both teams won on penalties in the quarters. Both teams won on penalties in the semi-final. And in fact, Newport Pagnell over the last 2 years in these runs to Wembley have had 6 penalty victories in their FA Vase runs. An incredible feat, and it would be very hard to back against them if they got there. They also have a few of their familiar names from last year's final, which I'm sure will give them confidence and maybe a bit more familiarity when they head onto the pitch. You never know at that level whether people are going to rise to the occasion or whether they're going to find it a bit difficult. Whereas for Ascot United, do you know what? The achievement is winning 4 successive away games to get to Wembley. I saw that they'd racked up over 1,500 miles in terms of their round trips before getting to this showpiece event. So a massive credit to them. Both sides, I'm sure, will be looking forward to Sunday. I can't wait to see it. The Vase final was brilliant last year. It normally is the better of the two games to watch as a neutral, and both sides have sold tickets in their numbers as well. Newport Pagnell passed the 5,000 mark for the second year in a row. Ascot United have already sold over 3,500. So for the two clubs further down the divisions, that is one hell of an effort. We can't wait to see how it goes, but we're going to have to chuck a prediction in, aren't we? Ascot United, for me, even though Newport won it last year, probably favourites. But the fact that Newport Pagnell have got the experience of playing at Wembley and the number of players are still there, that does make me think that maybe it will even it out. Do we go for penalties in this one? Normally at Wembley, it's very hard to get to pens. Even back to 2019 when we saw Chertsey beat Cray Valley in extra time. When you're playing at semi-pro level, when you're at step 5, a massive Wembley pitch, even if it goes to extra time, you're often going to see mistakes or space open up that wouldn't perhaps at a lower level with smaller pitches, etc. So I'm going to go for there to be an extra time winner. I'm going to go for Newport Pagnell to nick it just because they've been there before. But of course, I've not watched both of these sides play a number of times this season. I've seen 1 or 2 Newport Pagnell games. But I'm going to go for them to nick it in extra time. It's only a bit of fun. Good luck to both teams. And hopefully you enjoyed a day at Wembley. So that is the first fixture out of the way. Now we need to move on to the afternoon session. At 4:15 it is the FA Trophy final, and this year we have 2 Northern National League sides. Gateshead and Halifax Town will go head to head, separated by just 2 points in the National League this year, both finished comfortably in mid-table. But we're going to have a little chat about the ways they got there, because very different styles of play and very different statistics too. Of course, perhaps you could say it is a bit of a shame that we've not got one of the big hitters at Wembley. If you look at the last 2 that we went to with fans, Wrexham last year bought thousands, albeit they lost to Bromley in the final. And of course, the time before that, Leyton Orient, who played against AFC Fylde after they'd won promotion from the National League. This time it's an opportunity for Gateshead and Halifax. Both of them have sold plenty of tickets again. Halifax have sold the most tickets at over 6,000 and Gateshead have sold over 4,000 too. So brilliant effort from the northern sides. Let's have a quick preview of this fixture though and see who the threats are for both teams. Let's start with Gateshead, who have had a pretty good season after coming back to the National League. In 14th place, a very comfortable finish to the season and 2 big victories to finish off the campaign. The difference for them to Halifax Town is goals at both ends of the pitch. They've scored a lot more. In fact, you can make it 18 more, but they've also conceded 14 more over the course of the league season. So a lot more goals in the Gateshead matches, and of course a big trip for them down from the northeast. A side that play expansive football, that have got some familiar names in their squad. Former Newcastle defender Mike Williamson, player manager. Not that you'll probably see him playing if everyone's fit. Ed Francis I mentioned purely for those of you that follow my FM channel, because he's featured on there a number of times in the past. And then going forward, the likes of Denanga, Aaron Martin, who was a big feature in the playoffs for Harrogate Town as they got promoted a couple of years ago. But also Adam Campbell, the former next big thing at Newcastle a number of years ago. He's the top scorer this year and he's had a very solid campaign. And Gateshead, on their return to the National League, will be very happy with the season they've had. As we mentioned though, for Halifax, it's been a little bit tighter. Just over 1 goal a game conceded and scored over the season. A much more solid base, and they've got a few players that can pop up with a goal. Rob Harker knows where the goal is. Emmanuel Disareva, who scored some massive goals for Grimsby in the playoffs last year. Anyone remember that Wrexham game in the playoffs? He's their top scorer this year and has been a key part of their success. But a very good player, a very good squad, and a really solid base. It makes it an awfully hard game to predict because Halifax are normally pretty formidable at home. Gateshead have been brilliant on the road this season, managed to pick up 30 points actually, which is the same as they managed at home. But is that going to count for anything at Wembley? Halifax haven't been there since 2016. Gateshead, by contrast, were there in 2014. There's not going to be many, if any, survivors from that squad staff or dressing room. So there's going to be a lot of unpredictability about it, which is always the best thing. But what I'm hoping is that we're going to see a more expansive FA Trophy final because, as I've mentioned before, previously the FA Vase final is normally the better game. You had last year the expectation on Wrexham against a very solid Bromley side. You had Leyton Orient who were coming off a promotion party last time. On this occasion you've got 2 teams that have been in mid-table. Yes, they haven't played recently. The season finished a couple of weeks ago. But it does give us the opportunity for both to have a bit of a free hit, to not have really had a hangover from playoffs, from promotion parties, whatever it might be. And I feel that's going to give us a better game on the day. Of course, there's not going to be quite as many fans there with it being 2 sides from the north of the country. But it's still going to be one hell of an atmosphere. It's still going to be a very good football match. And you could not ask for 2 teams that are more tightly balanced than this. I do feel that although it's evenly poised, someone is going to nick this game. But are they going to do it in 90? I think they are. Just because I think they've got more big game players for the occasion. And I feel Gateshead's defensive line is a little slower and a little more vulnerable. I'm going to go for Halifax to nick this game by 2-1. You do often get a surprise in the FA Trophy final. As I mentioned, both of the big hitters in the last 2 with fans have lost. But this game is closer than ever. and it's going to be very hard to predict. Again, I have no loyalties or bias either way, so good luck to both teams. I can't wait for the day at Wembley. You will see clips of teams winning both trophies. I hope you're looking forward to that. And as we always say over here, if it's something you've never experienced before and you're able to go, we would thoroughly recommend getting a ticket for non-league finals day. It doesn't often disappoint, and to get 2 games out at Wembley for 25 quid, basically a whole afternoon at the stadium, is something that you're not going to get an opportunity for often. So if you have got a ticket or you're following any of the clubs, we hope you enjoy the day. Good luck to all 4 sides. Let's have a quick recap of what I predicted. We've gone for 2-1 after extra time to Newport Pagnell, purely on familiarity, them for Wembley Stadium, and me from having seen them play a bit more this year. But looking at Ascot United's league total this season, they're going to be a pretty formidable opposition. In the FA Trophy final, I've gone for Halifax to nick it by 2-1, just because I worry a little more about Gateshead's defence. But who knows what's going to happen when the players get to Wembley Stadium. Fingers crossed it's a good day. That's just our little preview. If you enjoyed it, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. If you missed all of our EFL playoff content and the first manager special of the summer, they're up in the eye above. Do subscribe and turn that notification bell to stay up to date with more. We'll be back here in a few days' time to start our predictions and previews for the EFL playoff finals.